It works. So after 3 years of doing the wiring, it actually works. Hello strangers, so welcome back to the Series EV playlist and series of videos. So it's been a while since we were last on this project. It's probably been about a year, and this is the first time we've had in ages really to look back at it. So we've dug it out of the corner. It's been in the corner of the workshop, gathering a lot of dust, and I mean a lot of dust. We're jumping back on it and taking another look at it with fresh eyes. At the end of the last video, obviously we were putting the axles under it and getting it rolling and everything, and it's pretty much there, to be honest with you. Obviously we've still got the issue where it doesn't run for an EV, but everything else is pretty much there. So just going to do a quick walk around, show you where we are, and then we'll get into it. So we've pulled out all the panels and bits and bobs that we've got for it. We've got a load of panels and stuff down here that need cleaning up, the bumper and just some covers and sheet metal stuff for the floor. We've got the old tailgate here, which just needs the new hinges putting on it because it didn't come with hinges. All the other panels are pretty much done, so we don't need to worry about that. And you can see here how much dust it has gathered just being sat for the last year. It's literally caked in dust, but it's all good underneath because we've already done it. And then we've got a load of old bits here, some new brake pipes, new limit straps and headlight stuff that's all got to go on, but there isn't a vast amount of stuff because we've done most of it. Up front, we've just got to figure out this wiring issue or running issue to get the EV side of stuff done, but the front axle, the front of the chassis, the steering, everything's done at this end. It is just like the front panel to bolt in, the front bumper to get cleaned up and bolt on. Working our way to the middle of the car. Here, obviously we did all the transfer box. The only thing that we do need to do is a transmission brake, which I figured out earlier. And then there's just little bits, and then obviously once we've got it running, we can put all the floor and stuff back in, which will be really easy stuff. We can put all these covers back on and the seat box in. We have also got a soundproofing flooring mat thing to go in as well, but we'll get to that later. Back of the car, the rear axle's all built up. We've just got to put those brake lines in and stuff, which I'll get to in a second. But at the rear end, it's all done. We just got to bolt the tailgate on. Again, we've got the battery pack in the back here. So once we figure out this electrical issue, we'll be laughing there. I think we'll keep it a pickup. I don't think we'll put a roof and stuff on it. So it's just going to stay like this. It's just clearing out all these bits that have been dusty and getting them bolted in where they were supposed to be bolted in and just getting stuck into it. It's probably, I would say, apart from the EV side of stuff, the rest of the car is like 95% of the way there. We've got the brakes to plumb in and the master cylinder to go through, which we'll go through next, and then fluids. So we're just prepping up the remaining bits of sort of sheet metal work and bits that have got to go in the front, well actually all round really, so just knocking out all rivets, getting rid of stuff, wire brushing everything up. So the next big one for me to get on with was the brake master cylinder. So these are really expensive to buy new and a nightmare to get the exact one at times. This one wasn't in bad condition, it was just missing a lug on the one end. It had broken off. I just fabricated up a bit of steelwork using something we'd already got, basically to weld in there and make it look like it used to live there before. So I'm just prepping everything up, just heating up the master cylinder and then TIG welding this new lug on the side. So there you go, I've welded it up and then ground it back, and it doesn't look too bad. So I'm getting a bit of paint on it here. I'm using Buzzweld. So the red stuff is RE and then the black stuff is War. This might be a 30-minute video on YouTube after all. We're just adjusting the shoes on the brakes because we've bled the system and we think it's bled well, so we're going to just adjust each wheel cylinder or each set of shoes and it should then brake properly. Harry, can you bring the jack over please, mate?
Yeah.
Go again. That's easier,
That's
isn't it?
a lot easier.
Okay. There.
Yeah, I think that's about right, isn't it? That,
Okay, so that one's all right, yep. Let's go to the side. Once the master cylinder was all back together again, we could bolt that up and then plumb the rest of the brakes, which were already all there. We just needed to stick some fluid down the reservoir and bleed it all out. So that's better. That's better. That's what I'm on with now. Okay, relax. Oh. So we've got the master bolted in, got it all cleaned out and reassembled and everything and bolted in, and all the pedal bolted back in where it lives. And we've put all the pipes in now, all the brake pipes in. So we've got the reservoir under here, which lives under the seat box. We've put in all the new lines all the way back with hoses and everything. Run a load of fluid through everything, bled it, back bled it as much as we can, so there shouldn't be any air in there. The pedal doesn't feel particularly great, but I'm not convinced the master cylinder's right. The spring in it was quite weak, and we don't think it's returning the piston back to zero, if you like. So we're going to see about getting a stronger spring for it. But in the meantime, we're going to see if there's enough pressure there to activate the pressure switch, which tells the ECU you've got your foot on the brake. And that'll then, in theory, let us put it in drive and reverse and all that stuff. So we're going to do that now.
Okay,
lovely. How many months ago was it? We're in August now, and we started in February.
6.
So it's been another 6 months of working on this on and off and going through all the wiring. And we sent the ECU back to the manufacturer to update the firmware on it because I couldn't do that here. For some reason it wouldn't let me, but they did that, sent it back to us, that's been fine. We literally went through the wiring probably about 3 times, every single wire, continuity testing everything, checking for voltages, checking for CAN data, everything. And that was in the last 6 months, after doing it loads before. We have swapped the BMS, which is the battery monitoring system, which is on the back, which is that thing. So we swapped that out. The last thing we swapped out was the recharge resistor.
Have you tried this?
It works. It actually works. Yeah, so when we switched originally, so now it actually works and stuff's doing stuff. Before we'd switch it on and you'd get a one dunk, which is a relay. The screen wouldn't do anything, and that's all we would get. Whereas now, you get the which is 2 relays, and the screen comes on with data, so that's telling us we're in neutral and we've got 70% battery power. The next step for getting it into gear is you have to put your foot on the brake, because the ECU needs to see that you're on the brake, the same as an automatic car, and then you can select a gear and it'll put it into gear. The minute we haven't got enough brake pressure to activate that switch to tell the ECU that our foot's on the brake, so we need to do something about the brakes, the hydraulic system, which all I think is that spring. We're not getting enough fluid pushed through to create enough pressure, because the pedal starts halfway down there. The amount of travel is quite minimal, and it's obviously not enough to be given any pressure to activate that switch. We can ignore the switch for a minute and we can literally manually touch the wires together, and that should work, assuming that system works. So I'm going to do that now. So I've disconnected the wires from the brake switch, and I'm going to be the brake switch. So foot on the brake, select the gear, Harry. Right, so we've got other issues again now. But it drives. But it thinks it's in neutral. It's just, so we've got a loose connection here somewhere, because it's now showing it in reverse. So that's in drive now, so this should drive, so foot off the brake. So that had got regen on there. Did you see?
What did you do there?
Nothing, but it's come up with a little indicator there.
Yeah.
So I'll do a bit of research and see what that actually means. But
so that's properly doing it now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do it now, so that's without regen. So that'll just, yeah. Put your foot on the brake.
So that's regen stage 1, I guess.
Yeah.
And then foot on the brake, regen stage 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's, which we'd have it on because we're relying on Land Rover Series brakes.
Yeah. I feel like the top speed isn't as high with that.
Maybe not. It works. So after 3 years of doing the wiring, it actually works. So the things we changed more recently, after going through all the wiring and being really happy that the continuity of the wiring of everything, so all the low voltage wiring and then all the battery taps we went through and everything. We even changed a cell on one of the batteries because Leaf Spy reckoned that it was bad. Probably wasn't in hindsight. So we changed the cell anyway. We've now changed the BMS because Leaf Spy told us to do that. Whether it needed to or not is unknown. And then we changed the pre-charge resistor, which is just a 30 ohm resistor about this big, that when we tested it wasn't showing any resistance, so we thought we'll get one of them and change that and see if that works. And turns out it does work. It also has something to do with CAN because we weren't getting any screen data, and now with the pre-charge relay swapped out, we are. So basically we have wasted about 3 years on a non-specific thing, and that's why I love electrics so much. Okay, so now we can get back to packaging everything where it lived, because it lived in a place and then we ripped it all back out. So all the wiring got, yeah, de-niceified. So we've got to tape all this back up and make it into a proper loom. We've got to put the battery pack back in there, and we can put the covers and everything back on these now and essentially get them bolted in properly, because we've got one big battery pack in the back which lives in that box. We've got one that lives under the middle seat, or what will be the middle seat. We've got one in the front, in front of the motor. So now it's just a case of repackaging everything, in theory, and then we can crack on with the rest of the mechanicals and getting this thing moving properly. So Harry's just tidied up the wiring in here, which is looking loads better. All the conduits back on, and everything's a ton neater than it was, and all the connections are good. So we can start looking at getting the seat box back in, which means we've got to get this battery box fitted and everything and sealed up. Then we can get the seat box on. So we're going to drop on that now. There's the seat box all bolted in now. Just got the missing panel from the middle, which is the one we're going to make out of a fresh sheet of aluminium. So we can throw the seats in now. Look at that. Factory buckle as well. There we go, seats all in and wrapped up so that we don't damage them. But yeah, quite pleased with that third seat. I had to make up these brackets because obviously it didn't have a centre seat when it came to us. And the factory ones, I had a look on eBay and there's a company selling these brackets for one pair 128 quid. So I was like, no, I will make them. So I made them. Easy peasy. It didn't cost anything. So I needed somewhere to stick this little LED gauge that tells us all the information for the EV side of things. Quickly drew something up on the computer that was just going to house it. I wasn't really at this point, to be honest with you, bothered about anything fancy. I just wanted something that's going to house it. And if we wanted to refine stuff down the line, we can do. Then we 3D printed it. So I've got the screen, and then that'll just drop in there. And voila. Screw that down. peel that off. And I'll go in there and bolt down. And then I've still got these. If I wanted to use them, I could redo this with the extra holes in for lamps and lights and stuff, and that'd work. There we go, all assembled up. That'll work. I know it's the wrong colour, but I can worry about that later. And then, as I say, I've got these warning lamps here that if I wanted to still use them, I can do for whatever. Obviously it's fluoro green 3D print material. Again, I was just doing a quick thing just to see if it worked. We'll probably end up changing it because I might add in some lights and other bits in there, but for now this has worked a treat. Just 3D printed this centre cover for the steering wheel. It goes on like that, not too bad. And then I've just got to fix these broken bits. I've got an idea for that.
Yeah, go towards U1.
Yep. Where's the other battery box in? So we've got this battery box in now, which means we can build up the front end. So I can get the front panel back in, and we've got the little radiator there that we can then plumb in and get some lights in it and stuff like that. Once the headlights bolted up, don't look too bad. Had to make my own fixings. Had to get ingenious with it.
Had to get genius with it.
Yeah.
I don't think you can call it that thing.
Ingenious. I'm now just going to start plumbing up the rad. So you've got, where are we? I have got some ports here and ports down on the motor, and one just here, and then obviously the radiator. There's a water pump down there, and I've got to link it all together. It's all on small diameter 20-ish mil pipe, so I'm just going to start plumbing that up. Got my pipe over there, get it in. So I've got to repair these bits. The steering wheel itself, as in the steel bit, is fine. It's just the Bakelite. They're really notorious for breaking up like that, so I'm just going to clean this up and then start looking at repairing it.
I'll show you the stuff that we've got. So it's basically like granulated thermoplastic. You either chuck it in hot water or we use the heat gun to heat it up, and then you roll it into a ball and put it on whatever you need. You can shape it really easily, you can heat it back up, so we can heat it back up with the heat gun and mould it to how we need it.
Quite cool stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. It dries like rock solid, like a hard plastic. So we've actually repaired the wheel using that and then filed it all down, and it's not come out terrible. It actually looks okay. It doesn't feel too dissimilar to the stuff that was on there from factory. If we take a look in the front now, so I've got battery box 1 and then battery box 2 is here. They're all bolted down and finished now. This is battery 3. We've still got this one out because that has the battery management system bolted to it, and we think that might be what's giving us some issues. This one isn't where it should be currently. So the battery's in a sealed unit. So we've got a welded box like this. We've ran waterproofing bitumen tape. So I don't know if you can see that. This stuff. So we've run that all the way around the edge and then put the lid on, and then it's bolted sort of every inch and a half with 6 bolts, basically to seal these completely from the weather, make sure they don't get any water ingress in them. And then every box has a breather valve on it, so it's a one-way valve that will let the batteries breathe. Obviously they will warm up ever so slightly when they run. So they're all installed. We have, you cannot see that, we have here in the dark is the water pump that's fitted, and we've got that all plumbed in to the radiator. So we ran the lines into the motor and then basically to the pump and then up to the radiator and then back. We got a lot of the interior pieces bolted in now. So we've basically got the side rails bolted in. We put the seat box in, that's all bolted down properly. Got these, as I've been told, really expensive seats fitted. So I don't think they're originals, but they're remakes of originals. And they're really nice, actually. He was still messing around trying to get his brake master cylinder working properly. It's not on there at the minute. It's over on the bench here. We spent ages trying to bleed the brakes. We couldn't get it working properly. Found that the seal in it basically was slightly too big. I don't know what had happened, but it basically looked like it had expanded with the brake fluid. We swapped that for another one, rebuilt it. That didn't work, that was leaking. So I've replaced the external seal that's in there. I don't know if you can see. And we're just waiting for one to come, basically to go on the piston. And I can rebuild that again. And then fit it. And then hopefully we should have brakes. Or brakes that work at least. I spent a lot of time making up a wiring harness for the rear lights, and there's a harness. Probably can't see that either because it's really dark. But yeah, there's a harness that runs for the rear lights to the front into here, and then there is a harness that I made up that runs for those two main lights there, and then the side lights here. I had to modify these because these are only side lights, so I modified them so they've got two bulbs in them now. We've got a white LED for side lights and the same on this side, and then you can kind of see there's an orange LED in there now that runs the indicators. So basically for the front we've got indicators and side lights here, and then we have side lights, main beam, and the headlights running from those center two lights there. It's all been put in this sleeve in, and then we put a fuse box together with a couple of relays and stuff. And then up here we've got a dash panel going on. So we're using the factory series switch here for our ignition and then the light control. And then we took the innards of a gauge out, 3D printed an insert, and then that puts the Resolve EV screen in it, so we can have that mounted in the dash. And then yeah, there's all the wiring going up into the back of there for headlight controls. An indicator stalk needs mounting, but that'll sit on the steering column like that. We've got wipers, so I took this apart and then had to rebuild it basically. Some of the wiring inside, the protective insulation on it had worn down, so it was shorted against the inside of the box. So I stripped that down, desoldered the wires that were on there, put some new stuff in, and that all works. Yesterday just got the wiper blade in, so I got that all mounted on, which is really cool to have a factory wiper on there, because I know then they're not easy to find. Yeah, I'm just waiting for some bulbs for the rear so then I can put those lens covers on.
So we haven't made bad progress so far, and obviously got it working, which is brilliant. We're just waiting for a few bits. Still having issues with that brake master cylinder, so I've ordered another one, and then we can get to fitting the floor and all the other bits. So check us out in the next video, which will be coming up soon. And once we've got those bits, hopefully we'll be moving and out the workshop. Check us out in the next one.